Second week.
Let's go.
Word, top truth number 2 coming right at you.
You're
At you, not you. You know, that's how I like to.
at you.
Yeah.
Hey,
like,
bless you, brother.
Thank you, man. You can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm blessed.
Hey,
Blessed
dude.
and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored.
Come on now. Well, I'll just tell you something. I have a nasty blister on the back of my ankle.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man.
Bro, how'd you get it?
But I'm
Tell
still,
us, man.
No, I don't want to. We won our soccer game. That's how I got it. So that's it. That's that. And now
Let's go.
I think we have another special guest this week. Am I right?
Yeah, that is right.
Wow. We have a special guest who's going to bring us the word,
Hey, bring in the word.
the top truth.
Come on.
Remember what we said, the word. We're taking a truth from the Bible, from the word,
Yeah,
and making it relevant
that's
to
right.
the kiddos.
That's right.
And so I hope you like this next top truth.
Yeah, check it out.
And now let's throw it out to our friend.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
All right, I'm here with Angela. Last week you heard from her sister Anaya. Angela's been with us since the 2nd grade. She and I have a lot of casual conversations and hang out a lot. She's a lot of fun to be around. Another really, really good kid. So Angela, what was the top truth this week?
Doubt can spin you out.
Doubt can spin you out. That's a tongue twister in and of itself. So you just hear doubt can spin you out. What does that mean to you?
It makes me think doubt can spin you out. It makes me think maybe doubt can make you crazy. Like for an example, if you're doing a test and you have a lot of doubt, it's gonna make you do worse on the test than you could probably do. That's what it makes me think about.
Yeah, and you have doubt all throughout your life, Sometimes you might doubt that Mr. Eric's going to give you a food bag or that Mr. Eric's going to be nice to you that day. I don't think that ever actually happens. I'm always nice. But that's a really good point. Sometimes you're taking the test. Is the answer A, B, C, or D? You start to doubt it, and then it becomes really, really hard. So thanks for sharing that with us. And doubt can spin you out. We'll talk more about it the rest of the week. Wow. Doubt can spin you out.
Sweet Angela.
Zach and I went to the same high school, same middle school.
Same elementary.
Same elementary school. So this top truth would have been very relevant to us. We took a lot of tests together.
Come on.
Don't want to say we ever cheated, but maybe we did, or at least I did.
No, I did too.
I'm just being,
I'm not happy about it, but
I'm being truthful.
yeah.
But I do remember at times, there was some teachers that you just wouldn't even try cheating on. It was like,
Oh, for sure.
If we try this, it's going to end bad.
Dude, Miss Chapin in 6th grade.
Oh, yeah. Don't even mess with it. But
Oh, gosh.
I remember taking tests just like Angela talked about. And, sometimes I would have actually studied.
Yeah.
I'd say sometimes, that should be in all caps. Sometimes I actually studied it, but I remember taking the test.
Yeah.
And if it was multiple choice, I'd be sitting there like, I feel like all of these could be right.
Yeah.
Some of our teachers were really good about especially Miss Noble,
Yeah. Come on.
about making it seem like all of these answers could be right.
Yeah.
Like what state did this? And it's like the 4 states that, somewhat had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But then there's only one correct answer. And so
Oh,
you're
yeah.
sitting there just like,
yeah, gosh.
I think this is right. I know this is right, but I'm starting to doubt. And so you start spinning out.
Oh, for sure.
And you just next thing you know, 45 minutes is up and you're only on question 4 and there's a 20 question test and you didn't get to finish it. And so
it's just
all the ones you
game
didn't
over.
finish are now wrong.
Yeah.
Or you're just circling them, to get through it. And so, I totally relate here to Angela, what she talked about.
Yeah, it's so important. Just kind of listening to her talk about it, and I'm sure all of you with us today, you can think about areas of your life where doubt is maybe higher or lower, or specific stories and moments in your life where you have just doubted and you just spin out of control. It's just like that negative domino effect of one little thing, and then it's just like you find yourself in a hole, and you're like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, I got to actually talk about this lesson with the boys over in Little Rock.
Yeah.
And something cool that they were talking about was, someone was sharing, like, they were doubting their parents' decision not to let them go do something.
Yeah.
Not to let them go to this party.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually that party that their parents said, no, we don't feel comfortable with you going to, that party got shot up.
Oh, gosh.
And so they were doubting their parents' decision, doubting their parents' leadership.
Yeah.
But then in that moment, as we're talking about doubt can spin you out, they were able to bring this top truth and put it with that story and be like, man, I was really doubting my parents. I was spinning out. I was saying things I shouldn't have said to my parents.
Yeah.
But as they look back on the story, now they're like, you know what? Like, my parent was right. Like, that party got shot up. I could have been there. I could have been shot. I could have, been killed in that moment. Man. But to see this top truth really just hit home, that's a win for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that makes me think about like our Bible connection for this week, and just how the Bible articulates multiple characters, a host of characters that doubt themselves. The one we're going to focus on this week, even a follower of Jesus. I mean, Thomas. I'm sure if you haven't heard this story that we're about to tell, go check it out. Thomas is, often these days referred to as Doubting Thomas, a follower of Jesus, and in his life, right, Jesus comes back around, and, the disciples are talking about it, and they're like, Jesus rose from the dead, Thomas, oh my gosh, this is crazy, our Lord is back. And he's like, no, not till I see the holes in his wrists, the hole in his side, I'm not believing. And, Jesus himself had to come again and appears before them. And, I imagine if Jesus was alive today, he'd just give Thomas like the little pat on his shoulder, like, oh, Thomas, buddy, like, hey, it's really me. And he, touch my side, see the holes in my wrist. And Thomas believes, and he's like, oh, Lord, I'm so sorry. Like, I should have believed the whole time. But I mean, that's the whole essence of doubt can spin you out.
I feel like if that story happened today, as soon as Thomas probably, never says he actually touched, but as soon as he saw the scars and the side and all that, I feel like if that would have happened today, Jesus would have been like, boom, roasted. Yeah. Like, got you, bro.
Got him. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, our scripture verse this week, just to throw a little bit of the word itself in there, okay. It comes from James. James 1:6-8 says this. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. Boof. I mean, Eric, I don't know about you, man. I think about my own life. I think you're a little better about this than me. A lot of us joke here at the Dream Center. I tend to be the kind of guy that wears his heart on his sleeve. And so, unfortunately, sometimes that means that I can, be blown and tossed around by my emotions. So I feel like I connect with this one because, you let doubt in. I mean, it just kind of takes over, or, whatever the emotion is, anger or sadness, whatever. But when I read, the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea blown and tossed by the wind. I mean, God said it, and it's true. Like, we just really need to be careful sometimes about the types of thoughts that we dwell on or think about, especially when it concerns doubting God or his promises or his ability to be God in our life. Because I think the whole point of what God's trying to get at through James in his letter is that it just creates instability. That God is a God of stability. He's an anchor. He's a rock, right? He's the cornerstone. And doubt's just the complete opposite.
Yeah, man. Doubt is it is something that can really, spin you out. It can, you start just throwing little seeds of doubt into something.
Yeah.
And then slowly you start spinning out.
For sure.
I think about when my cousin passed away a couple of years ago, and, a 30-year-old, lady, 2 young kids,
Yeah.
and you start to think all the doubts possible. A lot of the questions that people ask. How can a lot of people ask Christians is how can a God be a loving, good God if he lets something like that happen?
Yeah.
How can a God be a loving, good God if he lets a hurricane happen?
Yeah. Right.
How can a God be a good God if he lets cancer be rampant in the world?
Yeah.
And so there's questions like that constantly that people are asking. And all it is they've been planted with these little seeds of doubt.
Yeah.
And now, because of those seeds of doubt, they have completely basically been like, you know what, you Christians, you're liars. You're not telling the truth.
Yeah.
And it's spun them out. And so, I mean, I've had some instances on mobile that it's just like, you can't make the stuff up.
No.
People coming up, like yelling at me because they don't believe what I believe.
Yeah.
And I'll have like, I had 20 kids once on the tarp. Well, I'm teaching the lesson. I'm getting to like the gospel point. Like I'm about to teach about Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
This car pulls up, and it is just a big dude, like muscular. Like I'm not messing with this guy. But he comes up and he's got like the deep voice that like every stereotype possible of like a dude that you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, for sure.
And he looks up and he's like, "What are you teaching these kids?" I'm like, "I'm teaching about Jesus." He goes, "Oh, you are? Well, what color is Jesus?"
Like baiting you.
Yeah,
almost.
baiting me to be like, "Oh, he's white."
Yeah, right.
But I was like, you know what? I don't think he's white. I don't think he's black. He's probably, Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
That's where he was, is where he lived. So I was like, he's probably doesn't look like either one of us.
Yeah.
And that tripped him up.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had been so implanted in this, what white Christians teach about a white Jesus.
Yeah, right.
And that's it. That's the context. That's what they're teaching all these kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when I said that, you could just tell he was thrown off. And so then he went on this like 3-minute rant of all sorts of who knows what. And the kids are a little bit scared. But then he got in his car and left, never seen the guy again. But in that moment, you could just see that he had doubted, what people were teaching when it comes to Christianity.
Yeah.
And, he thought that, all Christians, teach a white Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's it. But, this isn't even a white or black thing.
Right,
it was,
right. Yeah.
it was, but for him, it was, he felt that, because of that, then we've taken scripture and it's all messed up.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
everything about scripture is wrong. And so with that, he doesn't believe anything from the Bible. Like all of it is, I doubt everything that's in this book.
Yeah.
And it's all from one little seed of doubt that got planted. And then that little tiny seed of, Jesus is white.
Yeah.
No, he's not. I think he's this color. And so that man then took it from Jesus is white. No, he's not. That's a seed of doubt. Now I'm spun out. I don't believe any of this stuff.
Oh, for sure. Well, man, and Eric, you sharing that story, I kind of wanted to share this for our kid connection this week. It just, you guys, if we haven't said it a bajillion times already, a lot of what we do is with kids, right? So we're just day in, day out spending time with them, and not only, sitting at this table with all of you, but we're out there in front of these kids in their own neighborhoods. And as Eric and I were preparing for this, we thought of a story where one of our kids began to doubt, and it just completely changed just like all of who he was. And the story has a good ending, but the start is not. And anyway, it's a sweet little kid from one of our Little Rock sites, and he comes to us one day, and he's just visibly different, right? Just the worst attitude. Unfortunately, he's cussing us up and down, and just not having it.
And this is like like 7,
7, 8 years old.
Like
talking
tiny
like a
little kid.
grown man.
Yeah, seriously.
Just like picking up little pebbles on the ground, like throwing them at us. And we're thinking to ourselves, like, what is going on, you know? And this is a kid we've known for a long time, and usually he's happy-go-lucky, so happy to see us. And so we don't get to the root of what he's going through that day, unfortunately. But we know we're coming back. We see him again, and we pull him aside during our next meeting, and we're like, hey, man, like, buddy, what was that all about? You know, and again, like Eric said, this kid's 8 years old. So just imagine sweet little 8-year-old boy. And he starts talking to us about how he was doubting just, eventually he knew that the end of one of our seasons of the year was coming. Like he knew it was on its way. And he just starts talking about doubting that we're going to leave. You know, we're going to be like everybody else. You know, what does it matter, like what we're doing, like what we're talking about? Because eventually we'll be gone. We'll forget about him. And, you know, it just doesn't matter. Like, you know, eventually we'll forget, we're not going to come, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, just doubting that this, whatever pattern of hurt he's experienced is just going to be re-experienced with us. No matter how much we communicate, hey, bud, we care about you. Hey, we love being out here with you, and all the lessons that we might share. And I mean, I'll be the first to say today, like it was just such a good opportunity to, I mean, kind of like we just talked about last week, like just point back to God. And the reason that we're out here is to share with him more of who God is, and hopefully love him in a way that reflects that and teaches him these things that, you know, we call them top truths. We call that time in our program a life lesson, because we believe that it will stick with you for all your life. And just, I think that just, again, it just stresses the point of a doubt as a seed, right? It can just grow and fester and fester. And I mean, y'all, like, we're so serious. This kid went from being such a sweet, innocent 8-year-old to just this, this like vitriolic hatred. Sorry, we're laughing about that word, vitriolic. But I mean, that's just, it's such a perfect word to describe. Like, he just was so full of anger and just was telling us, like, leave, get out of here. You know, you guys suck, this and that. But once we got to the root of the problem, it was all just because of doubt and fear. And thankfully, like I said, it had such a good ending. You know, we gave him some consequences in the way of like, hey, you know, we're not going to talk to each other like that. But just to even see the growth from that point, Eric, I kind of wanted you to talk about that, because I remember a time probably 3 weeks after this occasion, you were there with him just to kind of continue.
Yeah, so I had to go back afterwards after this all had gone down, and you told me I couldn't give him a toy.
Right. Yeah.
And
no toys.
I remember it was like a rainy day, and the only kids that wanted to stay in the rain were Timothy,
Yeah.
The kid, and then his little sister.
Yeah, right.
And so
Sweet Naomi.
they're there on the tarp, and one other kid shows up. And I remember we were playing this game where we took these big rings, like the floaty rings, and you threw them over the head of somebody.
Yeah.
And so basically, I had rigged the game
Yeah.
to where me and another kid were going to win, and then Timothy and his sister were going to lose.
Yeah.
And basically, he was going to throw the rings to me. I was going to be the guy that was catching the rings on my body. So there's
Oh, yeah.
literally all the kid had to do is just put it in the air, and I was guaranteeing that's a point.
Oh, for sure.
But this kid was so into watching other kids that we ended up losing. But I remember Timothy that week just having the realization that he doesn't have to be what he was telling you he thought he was.
Yeah. Right.
And as we were teaching the lesson, you could just see him as we're talking to the top truth that week. You could just see the reality that he's like, man, God made me for so much more
Yeah.
than what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I remember, you know, after him and his sister won, and having to tell, I was ready, you know, for, you know, another cussing. But he actually, I said, hey man, because of your actions a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
the consequence. Remember, Mr. Zach gave you the consequence of
Yeah.
3 weeks. You can't win a toy.
Yeah.
I was like, you got to participate, but you can't go home with a toy. And
Yeah.
I was ready for it. Like you prepare yourself sometimes for those moments because it's
Yeah.
it's gonna be flood works of the tears, or it's gonna be a kid telling you that you're the meanest ever.
Yeah, for sure.
But I remember Timothy took it just so like, this is what
Yeah.
I
Such a difference.
I was wrong, and
Mhm.
I'm getting the results of my actions.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see that in just a short time period. But it takes those seeds of doubt get planted, but we come on top and we try to plant seeds of God on
Yeah.
top of it, seeds of Jesus, seeds
Absolutely.
of hope, seeds of light,
Yeah.
seeds that they're not getting in their communities, not getting at schools,
Yeah.
and so to see that our seed at that moment was kind of sprouting, kind of growing,
Oh, yeah.
was a really cool thing. Because a lot of the wins that we have are little wins like that, just a kid reacting different.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go story after story. There's a kid at a North Little Rock community. He constantly, I will tell him not to do something, and then within 5 minutes he's doing it.
Yeah, right.
And then I have to sit him out. But then to see him come weeks later and be like, man, Mr. Eric, I remember he said that, and remember I'm not doing that today.
Yeah.
Sometimes he goes, above and beyond to the extent I remember this summer we were having water day. He was in the pool and he got water in his eyes and started screaming. And this is a little boy, and it was like, he was screaming at the top of his lungs. Like,
Yeah.
it was ear piercing.
Oh, for sure.
And I remember I was like, bro, come sit out for a couple minutes. You're just trying to get attention. And I went and talked to him. I was like, hey, you don't have to scream like that. Like, just get up. Like, come find me. Hey, Mr. Eric, can you help me? I got water in my eyes. Where's my towel?
Yeah.
And so, I say he goes over and beyond. He got out after getting in trouble, had water in his eyes again, and walked over, like, eyes closed, arms up.
Mr. Eric, where are you?
Well, before he gets to me, walks into another kid because he can't see.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like, oops, I'm sorry. Mr. Eric, where are you? But I was laughing, but at the same time, it was like, well, he at least listened,
Yeah,
at least we
right.
got something out of it.
We're getting somewhere, yeah.
But that's just, you teach them little things like that, saying please when they get their food bag.
Yeah.
Just little things like that. And so doubt can spin you out, man. This is a top truth that hits home for everybody. Even just thinking about you and Camille's story and, trying to have kids and, walking through that for years now. And, but the cool thing is, you've decided to go into the foster care system and super excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
But in that, I'm sure at times you wrestled with God, like, God, why? I'm doubting you in this moment.
Yeah, man. I could just speak to it a little bit. Like, it really stinks going through it just because of, like, I think about the type of upbringing that you and I have had. Like, not only are we, well churched, but it's just like, we're in the Bible Belt. It's like you meet everybody down here. Sometimes it seems like everybody's a Christian,
Yeah.
And like, this is it's just a way of life and on one layer of the onion. But yeah, just going through that. And at first, I just had a lot of questions like, God, where are you in this? Like, and obviously I know the truth is that I'm not the only person out there that wants a kid, but I just started to think to myself, like, God, there is no one around me that wants a kid more than us. Like, why? Like, please let us conceive a child. But I think where we are, like you started to say now, understanding that this sweet opportunity that's before us to step into the area of fostering, to kind of go to the next level for kids like the kids that we see here at the Dream Center. It's actually been a really beautiful thing. And, as far as everything else, like, having a kiddo of our own biologically one day, I do hope that would happen. But even for some reason, even if it never was able to happen, like, just where we are now and and seeing the beauty of what God has asked us to steward is, I mean, again, it's just a really great turnaround. And you know, Eric, I'm thankful along the way for people like you and Marius, like just saying like, hang in there, dude. Like, you know, just don't give up. And I think it draws me back to the end of, you know, when we were writing this lesson, like that's kind of the point we were hanging on. Like you see doubting Thomas, you see in our minds all these examples of kids doubting, but the answer to that is, you know, again, you know, those seeds of light, those seeds of the power of encouragement itself, like be the voice that constantly says, hey, keep going, like don't stop, you know. So just grateful to be on the other side of it now, and we're months away from being licensed, so it's just like I'm excited.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Jesus is our hope, man.
That's
this isn't
right.
our home, and
come on.
you know, the devil's good at planting doubt so that we'll
Yeah.
run from him,
Yeah,
from
dude.
God. So,
That's right.
man, y'all, thanks again for tuning in. Week 2,
Week 2.
Top Truth number 2.
That's it.
We continue to go through Mansion of Mystery. You
Yeah.
know, I wish y'all could watch it with us, but
Yeah.
it's a great series.
It's so good.
so-
I miss the wig already.
Yeah, I miss the wig and the Georgia accent, but
Oh man,
doubt can spin you out.
that's right. Well, hey guys, thanks for being here. We'll catch you next time.
Word.
Word.